reconvene the meeting. Okay, I think we're ready to go. Good job.
Thank you.
They're more wise than we.
All right, we're calling this meeting back to order. And I think you probably would have left off. Did we review the agenda?
We did not.
All right, guys.
That.
Trustees? Oh, we didn't even pledge. Well, let's start with the pledge of allegiance.
As, oh.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America.
And to the republic which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Since we all had a chance to look over the agenda, do you have any questions, recommendations? All right, we'll move on to general public comment. Is written online? Not at the moment, so no public comment. Is there any in-person public comment? All right, moving on.
Stepping up to.
I was waiting for the presentation from Principal Santo.
How's the sound here? We good?
Haven't had any, I mean, it should be fine, the pickup ones are okay, so they're okay.
Brett, you're in that, mic picking you up, so you're gonna want to talk to the owl.
Good, went that way. So first off, good evening. Thank you, members of the board, for being here this evening. Either welcome back, whatever it might be here to Capitol High School. So on behalf of the administration here, Mrs. Kidder, Mr. Morris, thank you for once again, not only for being here this evening, but for all that you do. So hopefully everybody has a handout or a brochure in front of them. If you can please open that up to the section there, 25-26 action plan. So really, I just want to talk a little bit about our goals and what are areas that we're focusing on for this school year. And besides that, we'll get into looking at maybe some data, but just some of the different, especially MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support that we have here in place at Capitol High. I'm also going to talk about our Cognia report. I'm sure that maybe some of you heard about the fact that we were accredited through Cognia again. So I'll probably end the presentation just by talking a little bit more on that. So anyways, what we're focusing on this year. So really, disciplinary literacy, opportunities to write, instructional walkthroughs based upon reading and writing, and then focus on ACT and pre-ACT data. So I just want to step back a little bit and just say, so really we're focusing on writing and reading across the all curricular areas here. And I think for starters, it's that question of, well, how do you know how much is going on? And so that's through that item number 3, instructional walkthroughs. So it was probably about 3 to 4 years ago, we went from calling our department coordinators, those department leaders, we went from calling them department coordinators to really our SLT, school leadership team. And I think it was more than just a name change. It was really going from kind of the budget issues, maybe issues with cleanliness and that part of the building, to really that focus on student learning. And so it was more than a name change. It was really a change in identity. And so it became more our school leadership team, focused on student learning. So through the help of an instructional coach that we had at the time, we really made that transformation. And we implemented what were called instructional rounds. So really, it's a data collection tool, and it's utilized by our SLT or department coordinators, as well as admin. And it's really just going around and collecting data. And so we create the tool, and then of course we collect the data. And then as a group, we also then disseminate and review it. So when it says number 3, instructional walkthroughs based upon writing in the classroom, well, that's all based on our instructional rounds that we held this fall. So I have the data right here. So just to let you know, I think we started probably halfway through September, and I think it went through halfway through probably October. Anyways, we completed 49 instructional rounds. And so these were in the middle of the lesson, just because we thought that maybe that might be where that we wanted a more realistic glimpse of what kind of reading was going on, what kind of writing was going on. We thought maybe halfway through the lesson. So once again, 49 instructional rounds. So what happened in those? Well, when it came to complex text strategies, Of those 49, 24, there were 24 instances of students reading complex text. So almost half, which I must say I was maybe a little bit surprised. That was great to see. Vocabulary was pre-taught or supported in 21 of those 49. Of those 49, 22 instances where text was chunked for comprehension. So once again, based on 49, I thought those numbers were favorable. As far as writing strategies, when our SLT went around to these various classrooms, in those 49, in 24 instances, students were responding to text through writing. So in 24 times, teacher walks in for about 10 to 15 minutes, and students were writing, hopefully writing for a purpose as well. And then 22 times, the writing task aligned to the content or text being read. So, and we collected other data, but I just wanted to at least highlight that really our SLT felt very favorably about the amount of writing and reading occurring across all classrooms, because we covered all curricular areas with those 49. As far as just an overall percentage, I asked our SLT to come up with, on a scale of 1 to 4, 1 being not at all, to 4 being very evident. So how much were students engaged with the text in those 49? And that came out with an average rating of a 2.9, so almost 3, which we thought was favorable. And then as far as students were actively writing in those 49, the average rating was a 2.3. We felt that maybe, even though it seemed like that 24 was high, somehow the way this rating came out, that maybe, we could try to increase the amount of writing. So what did we do with this data? Well, besides sharing that with staff, we then decided to implement PD. So that very first PLC Monday of the month, I think it was in the month of November, our SLT admin, we presented to staff on some various strategies, and those covered writing, they covered reading or complex text, as well as engagement strategies. So our PD, we design it as an SLT, and I get their feedback, and then we implement that. So anyways, we offered that PD in November, and now what we're doing is this next Monday, which is the very first Monday of February, we've created a Padlet. And so what I asked is all of our teachers or PLC teams to basically highlight their strategies of what they're most proud of as far as writing or reading in the classroom. And then that's all now in a Padlet. So this next Monday, staff have to go through and look at that Padlet and just look at the various strategies and hopefully implement those that seem of interest to them. So anyways, that once again is our focus areas. As you can see, there's our goals. We did decrease those a little bit this year because we found that they were a little out of reach last year. So our instructional goals, students taking the assessment, we're hoping that 67% of students will demonstrate proficiency in English. That means they get at least an 18 on that portion. 48% of students will demonstrate in being proficient in reading. That's earning at least 23. And then 47% of students will be on target in math, and that's at least a 22. So, I know from the outside, it kind of looks like, oh, wow. I mean, are you sure we aren't maybe trying to get a little bit higher percentages on those? But if you go to the back of the brochure, it does have where they're at and where we stand amongst the AA. So, really trying to increase that amount, that frequency of writing and reading across all curricular areas. So that's how we're hoping to approach this, to hopefully it'll pay off in that summative assessment their junior year with the ACT. As far as goal number 2 for this year, just constantly tracking attendance. The goal is to reach an average of 93% across the year, average daily attendance. Last year, I think we set the goal at 92, which we did. We exceeded, we surpassed that. So we decided to increase that. And, it's really just highlighting that with parents, trying to share what are common, just the importance of regular attendance and how that goes so far as not only hopefully passing, but really, being in the C tier more, hopefully getting those higher ACT scores or pre-ACT scores. So cognitive accreditation, that's down below. Like I said, I am going to wrap this up a little bit by going over that. But this started last spring, our cognitive accreditation. I am a statewide board member. So is Mr. Meyer. On this cognitive statewide accreditation board. So what it is, it's optional. here in the state of Montana, an elementary, middle school, a high school, or an entire district can opt to become Cognia accredited, or you can continue to get your accreditation through OPI by, every year turning in various accreditation standards that are needed, or you go through the Cognia process. This is every 6 years, but it's much more extensive. So I had to go through a training last spring, and I would say the majority of my summer, this past summer, was spent writing and getting some of the evidence for this process. So I think this was in October. We had an external review team come through. There's 31 different standards they looked at. There was a lot of writing, a lot of summaries. And so they went through that. And then it turns out that, yes, we received our accreditation status. So what was neat is not only was it an external team, but we had some people from OPI actually join us. And Capitol High School is the very first school in the state of Montana now that achieved that OPI accreditation as well as Cognia. So that means that now for 6 years, there is kind of a check-in halfway through, like after 3 years. But really, a lot of the reporting now standards for OPI, we do not have to complete because we achieved this Cognia accreditation. So I'll talk a little bit more in detail. So at this point, I'm going to invite Mrs. Kidder up here to talk about the Capital Code, because when it came to our Cognia accreditation, one of the areas, our strength that they found was this, not only, well, there's a few different areas, but one of them was this MTSS, multi-tiered systems of support. So Mrs. Kidder spends a lot of time and effort on these initiatives. So she's just going to talk about a few of them. So.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, so our capital code, we have a capital code, it's a big triangle, all that I presented a few years ago, and we here on that, and we've added to it. But the big thing, if you could see the capital code, it's be responsible, be respectful, and be a graduate. And even right behind you in the library, you'll see how they've adapted that, and they've got various explanations for what that means in the library. But you'll also notice the universal expectations are in every single classroom, all of our large spaces. Hopefully you saw some of that when you were walking around. And what's nice about those universal expectations, it's the common terminology that all the teachers can use and what all of our students can expect, no matter where they are in any classroom, any part of the building. We have that. I also like using it in my office, and so do the teachers. If they end up having to come to the office for something, I can say, was that respectful? Was that responsible? And I can go over each one of those. But we do have this, I know it's hard for you to see from there, but we put this out to our teachers. It's in their classrooms. We go over these, and the kids hear the capital code on announcements every single day. Our students in with it. Be respectful, be responsible, be a graduate. So they have all that. At the beginning of this year too, the students sit through an assembly by grade level, and we go over this in depth, way more than what I am now. And then also at the beginning of the year, we had a little bit of spike in some of our discipline referrals. So I put together a script for our first Bruin talk, which will come a little later, but it's appropriate to put it in here. But I gave them a script of what they could say, of what does it mean to be responsible, be respectful. And so the teachers were able to do that to try to reinforce those expectations regarding our office referrals. And then moving on to our multi-tiered systems of support. Pretty big. I'll try to keep things brief, but we have high fives for the so if our students are taught living the code, doing the things that I was just talking about, being responsible, being respectful, being a graduate, the teachers have, I'll call it a little coupon book. They can put their name on it. They write down what they are doing positive. We've got a bear at the front counter. The teachers can put it in there. We have drawings, and we do them twice a month. And so the teachers get to, when the students come down, they get to choose. So when I say choose, they can get a t-shirt, the size they need, the color they need, the logo for Capital that they would like, made right here in one of our business classes. They do that. And so the kids fill out what they would like. I have it made. That teacher gives it back to me. I give it to the student. And what was surprising around Christmas is the kids that got that, and I was showing them their shirts they could choose from. They were giving them as Christmas presents to their parents or to someone in their family to spread the Bruin family, you could say. So, but through that, they also get coupons to Bare Necessities. They can get an admission to any sporting event. If they already have an activity pass, they can give it to a friend. They get 6 free wings from Buffalo Wild Wings. All sorts of different things. Those are just to give you some examples, and they choose one of those. So it kind of hopefully meets the needs of most of our kids. I also am so fortunate to live in Helena where I do a fundraiser. We do Pop-A-Shot at our half times. And so Coke and Pepsi here in Helena donate the pop to us, and then I do Pop-A-Shot. And on my shopping cart, when I go in there on each side, I have signs for MTSS and our logo. So, and of course I make an announcement, but sometimes it's hard to hear that. So people know what that money is being contributed towards is all of these prizes for kids. Then moving on, My Voice listening sessions. I think we've done those at various times over the years, but about 3 years ago, we randomly, I had a math teacher help me, so it was true random, that we selected 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders, and we had My Voice sessions. And we asked them like 3, questions, like how could we improve capital? What would you, and so that led to better bathrooms. And then the other one leads us into intervention time, but intervention time was started by student voice. So through those sessions, the students said, I feel really bad, like the guilty feeling when I have to ask my teacher can you meet me before school, or can I come in at lunch, or can you stay after school? Because then they're trying to get to appointments, they're trying to go get their kids. And so through that, that's how it originated. And then we took it back to MTSS with a group of teachers. And we also, beyond that group, we had an idea of, touring other high schools, other AA high schools. So we went and we did that. Long story short, we now have intervention time. That's kind of a little bit of a background how it came about through our students, listening to them and what they thought that could help Capitol High be better for them. So through that time of having our intervention time, we have that on Mondays. It's 45 minutes. It's where students are academically engaged. They can get help on anything they didn't understand. They can also make up tests, quizzes. It's time for them to meet with teachers, and teachers are pretty good too of like, hey, you need to come in on Monday to do that. And some classrooms are packed, like depending on when a test was or something like that. But the students go to that area that they need, except our intervention time for freshmen. Every freshman is assigned. So we do that at the beginning of the year. Every freshman has an intervention teacher, and they have to go and they check in. Our 10th, 11th, and 12th grade is not that way. They can go, they want to be treated like adults, so they can go to the teacher that they need help with. They can also work on group projects in the cafeteria, here in the library. They can do all sorts of things that if a teacher for a junior or senior that's assigned group work around their work schedules and sports, it's really hard, but the IT time allows them to do that. Also, with that intervention time, our teachers do some unique things too, like in this, I'll just use science. If there's a lab that needs to be made up and those teachers have worked together during their PLC time, there might be one teacher that does the lab that all 3 of those teachers need, because then only that teacher is setting up the lab. And so there'll be kids that are coming from other teachers to come into that classroom to make up the lab. The other teacher in that department might be making up a science test. So it makes it unique for the teacher that they're not trying to run around, help with the lab, help with the test, help with kind of the departments have come about with that to help manage that. Also, when I said our freshmen were assigned, there's catches as we went through this. So the MTSS team, I'm so lucky to have the group of teachers that are a part of that. They, we built the plane as we were flying, kind of, on some of those things. And so our seniors that are failing, a required class they need to graduate, they're assigned. The counselors reach out to the students, they meet with them, they also email parents. Everybody knows then that they have that time, and we do that after the 1st and 3rd quarter so that they have a chance, because if they fail, or if they're on the borderline, they can still pass the semester. So they're assigned and they have however many 8 Mondays, if there's not holidays, or 9 in there, that they can make those up. We also have our sophomores. If they have less than 5 credits, 5 or fewer credits, they're in jeopardy of not graduating. So then they're assigned. And one thing that I just wanted to say is I just enrolled a new foreign exchange student. Their host family, of course, they're here at Capitol. Their kids go here. And so the word is out. We've been doing this a couple of years. So my foreign exchange student is a senior. And the host mom, I said, well, we have IT on Mondays. And she's, oh, yeah, assign her. She needs to have one because, she's like, I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to help her with some of the classes that she's in. So that's a parent of that's hosting a foreign exchange student that knows about it. We also have parents that call our counselors now, say, my kid needs to be assigned, they're not doing whatever in math, and we will change, like, if I'm failing math and get that under control, maybe I need a little bit of help in some other class, we can change their IT. It doesn't have to be just stuck there for the quarter or the semester. Probably that's kind of a big grasp on that, except one thing I want to make sure I don't forget is the counseling department. They run some unique sessions on those Mondays. Like they'll do a scholarship day, they'll do a college search, they'll do summer jobs, things like that, where kids can go down and get information. So we also have students that will work on scholarships at that time too. So it allows our upperclassmen to really help out if they're going to go 2-year school, 4-year school, hit the workforce. So we have all those different things as well. And then on to Bruin Talks. So Bruin Talks started, I want to say, maybe 4 years ago. And so that was the social emotional piece of our pyramid that we added. We used to just have academic and behavioral, and we added that social emotional piece, and Bruin Talks fell in there. So I just highlighted a few of them because otherwise I could talk a really long time on Bruin Talks. But one of our popular ones is we have our upperclassmen that are juniors and seniors. And I do all of the scheduling, look at who's in what class, and pull those seniors out. They go into, I partner them up with another person, and they go into freshman classes and they talk to them about how the things that they wish they knew when they were a freshman. So it's pretty awesome. And so when we made that list, I met with our students that, it's NHS kids and some drama kids. We have like different areas. If they volunteer, I just be like, sure, go ahead. And they're great at going in and working with the freshman classes. But what a better message than have your junior and seniors say to the freshmen, you need to come to school. Attendance is important. Being in class to hear your teachers is important. So they're getting that message. And then the kids can ask them questions on, what's their career pathway? And so they hear it from the kids, not so much from us. And our juniors and seniors know the answers, or they'll ask the teacher in class if it's something that they don't have the background to share. They also talk to them about getting in clubs, getting involved, high school short, volunteer, give back. So this list that I'm kind of referencing, this all came from seniors. They said, these are the things that I wish somebody would have helped me with, get involved in those clubs. It's too short, the 4 years. So they go into the classrooms to do that. That's a pretty popular one, and goes over well because the teachers are standing there listening to the junior and senior say, attendance is important, you need to be here. And when they say you need to do your homework too, I think the teachers are like walking on cloud nine. Then we've also done videos in the past where you can, we had our student council president and such, they would, just 2 people, quick little video that teachers could share during our homeroom time, like things such as, they covered, where do I go if I need to get help with food? Where do I go if I need to get clothing? What kind of assistance, what can I do if I need mental health? So we put those things out as well. We also had another one just on summer jobs, food program, community events and things over the summer. So kids knew where they could get resources when school wasn't in session in the summer. Already covered that one. Oh, we did mindful moments, which is nice at the end of the year where it was just on a note card, but they were able to give it back to teacher in the building, a grandparent, a parent, whatever it might be, of how they inspired them. So that was pretty cool one too. And then this year, we just started our capital conversation cards. So you might have seen that one out on social media of the kids had, we videoed them, they just walked up to the mic. It's pretty popular on social media out in the world. And little things like, what would you rather have? The perfect gift or $100 cash? And so we had like 6 different questions. The kids would walk up to the mic and answer those. And then I had students that made that, right, use their expertise. They put all sorts of little fillers and things in there that were cool. And then Brett sent it out through his weekly update to our family and our families, I should say, and all of our teachers. And then right now, I just met with our 3 people that are gonna try to build another one, but we're drafting it. It isn't perfect yet. We're working on it, but it's gonna be lead with legacy is what we're leaning towards. And we want to share out positive traits of what makes you, of students, of how other students can make you feel welcome and inviting without saying names or anything. Like, I like it when somebody does this for me or helps me if I'm having a bad day. So for lead with legacy is what we're working on. And, oh, cell phone policy. So we've always had a cell phone policy, but we had some people that wanted maybe to talk about cell phone policy. And so we had our cell phone policy, but MTSS took that on. We had some people that didn't understand maybe something that we had. It was just communication. And when I put it out in this form to everyone, and so this is in every single classroom too, because this is a universal expectation for our cell phones. And so we have this on tag board for now because we knew that we're gonna be moving around the building. So this works good, so we can pin it up and take it down. But this is the same expectations in all the classrooms. And then there's also like house rules, right? So the teacher can trump anything, like, because their wing is torn down and they're gonna be relocating somewhere. So we also put in some flexibility for our next few years of how things might just change. And we wanted to have that flexibility built into the plan. And I think that takes me through most of everything. Does anybody have any questions on anything?
I do. Yeah, could you tell me what the policies are, since this was a fresh topic for a lot of us regarding the cell phone or what's on?
Yeah, so what we have is our first offense, the teacher just issues a warning, right? Because we want them to learn. We don't want them to do that again. But I had like slides of like 4 or 5 slides that we presented to the staff, and I shouldn't say I didn't present. I had my MTSS teachers presented and shared what works in their room. But the second and third offense, teacher contacts guardian and assigns a length of detention. The fourth offense is office referral and administration contacts guardian, ISI for that period. I don't think we've got to that level yet this year. And then the fifth offense, office referral and administration contacts guardian, ISI for 2 periods of that class. And then the sixth offense is student guardian conference with administration.
Yeah, to maybe tell, form us what would initiate an offense.
Yeah.
So first off, I was gonna go back up a little bit too. So our teachers in MTSS, we had some people that were really frustrated with cell phones, felt like they weren't supported enough. And so as soon as some teachers shared out, they have, I'll call it cell phone caddy at the front of the room, and they number it like 1 through 30. And so when you just walk in, all of the kids, they have a number and they put their cell phone in there. So many of the teachers will just, okay, first period, those like, oh, 8. Johnny, are you here? And, oh, I forgot to put my cell phone up. Or the kids will say, Johnny, your cell phone's not in there. So that's the first thing that everybody has. And it's not a cell phone caddy in everyone's room. Some people have calculator caddies that they put them in. They have something that they're able to put them in when they go in the classroom. And that's one way of keeping them, because they're not distracted, because if it's vibrating, even how many of you probably get a message while I'm talking, it's like, oh, you just want to check on there's none of that kids, their cell phones are up. So that's been really nice. And what did you ask me?
I guess that initiates another question, though. What would initiate in advance, like what causes a teacher to write something up? So is there a universal that all teachers follow, that the phone's in a caddy or in a pocket?
Yeah, for
During
that,
instructional time.
there's something like that, like in our science department, they just went and they have on, because they have tables, right, a big table. So they have a little basket that they put there and the kids just put it right there on the table. So there's usually some type of, I don't know that every single classroom has one, but I'd say majority of them do. And they have something that they put their phones in, so it's not a distraction. Kids have said they really like it better. And we actually, Mr. Caffrey had, he took his, and used, that when they put it in, he was like, my God, I'd still have hair if I would have done this a while ago, because they put their cell phones up, they're not distracted. And then he,
Study.
yeah, I was gonna say, he emailed home as well, and he went from so many Fs down to only 3 by putting cell phones up and a communication home. And so that, and we have a couple other teachers that did that too, I can't remember, but his just sticks with me, because, you know, he said he'd still have hair if he would have started that a while ago. So some of those things the teachers have just really appreciated, and the teachers shared out to everyone. So back to the question is, what would constitute that? Usually we're like, hey, I told you to put your cell phone away. And most of the time they don't have to do that because they're already up.
Yeah.
And so you don't even get into that power struggle. It's your cell phone's up. So,
Yeah.
but let's just say, for example, to answer yours, that maybe there was a classroom that didn't. It'd be like, you need to put yourself, all the teachers are gonna give a warning, right? And then it's those ones that it's every day or something,
I think
where
for us, it's
they
more-
put in a fake one in the cell phone caddy, and then they've got the real one on them.
Yeah,
So,
I guess my question really isn't about we want to know what the expectation of a cell phone, then we can figure out what the consequence is, but those are there's universal, understanding of what we do with cell phones.
right. And so, yes.
How
Yes.
long have you guys done the caddy thing? Or is it-
Well, I'd say some teachers have done it for a long time. Others haven't done it at all. And then when MTSS said, yeah, let's take this on, let's put, use the same map model that we know we've been successful with our capital code of being responsible, be respectful, et cetera. Then when we tied that into our cell phones and put something that was in writing and that can go up in classrooms and every student sees it, it's like universal expectation, so everybody knows what the expectation is. If you know what the expectation is, then you should be able to follow it.
How long would you say it's been since you guys made it universal?
We just did this fall, and I want to say it was October, right around in there, that we did this. However, I want to back up and say, this information has been out for 3 years.
Yeah.
But it was in maybe the delivery perhaps of having it like this. And then the other thing too is having your teachers talk about, these are the struggles I'm having. I can't stand cell phone. I mean, their frustrations, having them come into MTSS. I have a big group of somewhere, depending on the day that we meet, but I'll have, 8 to 18 teachers. When they shared their frustrations with it, what can we do about it? We shared what we kind of had in place for 3 years, but then we made this, and then the teachers that were big naysayers of really frustrated with cell phones, they're the ones that presented when they said, as soon as we put the cell phones into a caddy, into a calculator holder, on the table, as soon as we got those out away from the student, my instructional time, my grades, my everything in my classroom for my students, they've all improved.
Awesome. Wow, thank you.
What would prevent a staff member from not wanting to participate? I mean, rather than you and Brett, the administration saying you must, I mean, what would, in this day and age, what would cause a staff member not to want to?
I haven't heard of anyone, maybe Mr. Zanto has, but everyone that I know is doing something very similar to this, because during their PLC times, they talk, and then this was one of the things. And then when you're sitting in that PLC and, you're listening to teachers saying, I don't know how you didn't do this years ago. I mean, you've been doing it across the hall, but I didn't. But until we shared out the successes that other teachers were having, and the teachers shared their successes out, and then people were like, oh, well, why haven't I done that?
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I mean, is it just a follow-up to that? Do they sometimes access them to use them as a tool, like for?
So, yes.
Or what is,
So-
you know?
Well, I can give you an example. So I was in a classroom And this particular teacher had said, here's how we can do this assignment today. I'm gonna let you use your cell phones if you want to, because you're gonna be recording yourself, because you're sending it to your pen pal, somewhere else. And yes, you can use your Chromebook, but it's easier to do on your cell phone. She said, I did it both ways. It's just way easier to do it on my cell phone. I can hit delete, I can do all that. So and I was in that classroom for an observation. So are there unique situations like that? So having that flexibility for the teachers, like they like that. That's why if I had my full, my 4 slides or so, that's why we have house rules that the teachers thought was good, because that would be in a day, that this is an exception to what we normally do. We have our universal expectations. You're gonna use your phone while we do this, and then we're gonna put our phones up. If you want to use your phone, they didn't have to. Yes,
Since we are reviewing Capital High, do teachers like having the individuality of deciding how to do it? Or would, as we renovate, would it be good to do something standardized across the whole school?
As far as the electronic device
Yeah.
policy.
Would it make it easier to have it if everyone had access and students in every classroom they went to, that was the standard, or?
I would say this is.
Yeah, and I think what's so unique about what Kathy and the MTSS group did with this is it was really teacher driven, kind of grassroots, I guess you could say. And it really wasn't anything, it wasn't really reinventing the wheel. It was just getting the conversation started, having people talk about it, people that really struggled with it. And then some people are like, oh, I didn't even really know we had this policy. I mean, it's been.
So, and with that, in those slides, I went around to teacher classrooms and took a picture of, this is what this teacher does, this is what this teacher does. And those teachers shared out when we presented to the staff. So I started off with a little introductory of this is what came about. And then the teachers took over and shared, and I sat down and they talked about how successful it is.
I guess what I'm asking is, would it be helpful as we redo the classrooms to have like those plastic little boxes that as we did it? If that's possible to do that, or do they like doing calculator cubbies and baskets?
I think you're asking 2 questions. One, FF&E, would we want to invest in some sort of a storage device throughout? That's one question. The second question is there a use for a universal blanket policy from the district office mandating no cell phones in the classroom? How well would that go over? 2 questions, right?
Well,
No.
Here's the first one.
The second one would fine.
I like the first one. Let's start with the first one.
yeah.
I tried. That's a good try.
Well, I would say everybody's kind of a creative way, like math teachers, it's, well, everybody comes in, they grab the calculator, they put their cell phone. I mean, it just seems to work.
I mean,
If you look
we're
at
in
that
their
from around
classrooms that they have the big tables and they're gonna sit down. I mean, the teachers that let them put them in, there's like a little basket, they just put them in there face down, if that works for them.
Yeah.
So I think the ability to use the uniqueness of your learning classroom and your learning environment, for now, I mean, I can't speak for our teachers, they're not here, but I would say, I think leaving that open to them right now, and everything that I've heard and feedback is it just, if it's working, we have the universal expectation. It's the model of how they use it in each one of their classrooms that's working, and the fact that they have the ability to alter things, but they, like we said in those examples, it's working well.
How do staff feel about students having their phones during social times, like lunch, passing period, that kind of thing?
Well, they're just gonna use their cell phones however they need be, but I'd probably say parents use that time to contact their kid who's picking up whoever at this time, you're riding with your brother. I got stuck, here in a meeting. I would say those kinds of times.
Yeah, definitely have not received any concerns about during their time,
Right,
passing period, the lunchtime, before school, after school.
yeah, it's been like a game changer in the classroom for the teachers that have created a system that allows the cell phones to be put up so they can concentrate on learning and not their social media that has nothing to do with whatever they're studying in class. Yes.
I'm very impressed by this, I'm sure you guys all know, this has been like, it's a national conversation, and it's a touch point conversation, and there's like facilitated community forums about it. We've actually even kind of battered around having one here. And I'm so impressed that this just came about. It just sort of like came up through your existing processes and you just did it. And it was like, it just happened without organically, and it's homegrown, and it's working, and it's doing all of the things that the bigger conversations are saying you should do. It's doing it without any real fanfare. Like that is like a laminated piece of paper.
It is, the one, no, it's not even laminated.
It's not even
Because we
laminated.
didn't want to waste the money.
It's just good paper.
Right now,
That's
but
stock.
it is hard stock.
Card stock.
But I just want to say that through MTSS, it's teachers and they volunteer to be on that, and it drives so many student-centered initiatives and the ideas that come out of there, that I just work with them and we create together, and then we're constantly morphing and changing because your student body, they change every year. They change, and then what do we need to do? So the feedback that teachers share in there, just like at the beginning of the year when we saw our office referrals ticking up, well, let me give you a script. Let's go back and readdress that. Even though we did it at our opening assemblies for each grade level, let's address it again. So
So if we were gonna summarize, you feel that what you've done here has effectively addressed the distraction of cell phones during class time, and that, you know, more, the students are concentrating more, they're more engaged, and that's reflecting in the grades, and there's, I'm assuming, more conversation, peer-to-peer, student to teacher, and the teachers are also happy.
and the teachers say, I don't have to say, put your cell phone on.
Mhm.
Or if you're under the desk, there's none of that because it's not on them. So the teachers, so all of the feedback that I have received has been nothing but positive. That it's helped their learning environment and students are learning more. And, if you don't have the distraction, I can focus on what my teacher's saying and they know they are the prime. What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna add on.
Oh,
Because I think just to clarify, because I think it's not as though, I know in some districts where they've gotten to the point where, when I walk into your classroom, right when the students walk into the left-hand side, there'll be this 30, 10x3 grid where you put your phone in. And if that's not there, then it's a conference. We're definitely not to that point. I mean, our policy is really just following, hey, let's, put them up. Put them away during class time, but some teachers are probably, well, I will say, they're not probably, they are more flexible. But that, I think it's almost to the point though where now it almost begs the question, if students are using cell phones kind of on their own in a class, that question's gonna be, well, what engagement is going on? I think it's kind of getting to that tipping point where, oh, okay, so you do not require your students to put them in some caddy. Well, how are you managing? Do you just know that, hey, you're not to have your phone out or whatever might happen, a cell phone.
and one important piece I forgot to share is when this came to us to go ahead and take a look at, I reached out to most all AA districts, had them send me their cell phone policies, read those to our MTSS group of teachers, highlighted them, went over them, read them out loud. We talked about them. How, is there anything there that we want to add to ours before we finalized ours? So we had that. I had teachers, because I had it in a folder that through MTSS came to me and said, can I take that folder and read it? And I go, yeah, but can I have it back by 5? Because I got to work on it tonight, kind of a thing. So I did do research with the other AAs and shared out. And I think that was powerful too. This is what, Great Falls High does. This is what, the other schools do. So, and then what's nice about this is because in all of our classrooms with everything is we all have, make sure that we're following this because it falls under that for be responsible, be respectful, be a graduate, which also falls under our cell phone policy, because if you're not distracted by your cell phone in class, it's going to help you do all those things and to be a graduate.
That's amazing. And I love that it didn't require like a special Wi-Fi proof Ziploc bag for every like it's a basket. Like this is a TJ Maxx run.
When
Right.
you leave tonight, look at the library desk, there's a QB up there with a key in it.
And that's unique. Nobody else has that. They ordered that. Amazon's you know, so because when they put their cell phone up, they wanted to lock on it because it's not like a classroom where the teacher can see and all that, because kids are coming all the way back here. They're somewhere else studying with friends, so they wanted students to feel that they could lock that and you know, when they come back, their cell phone's still gonna be there. Nobody will have access to it. So that's unique just here in the library that they do.
I had a separate question. You had mentioned, on the, let me get the MTSS program, that you took seniors who were after the first and third quarters that were in danger of not graduating, and then sophomores that didn't have the 5 credits.
Right.
What is the impact of doing that, Ben?
I have that data, and off the top of my head, when I presented that, so you'll find this funny but very accurate, is because we have that and we track that, and so we track attendance and how many times they go, and we also can give them consequences, you know, lunch attention, things when they don't go. But a phone call home is very powerful. Your kid is still failing, they haven't been going to classes. And then off the top of my head, first semester, I don't know the exact percentage, but our students that went were more successful. But second semester for our seniors, they didn't hardly miss a Monday at all, because why? Graduation is coming up, so I have to, you know, pass. So, but I have all of that for our attendance and our grades and whether they went up or didn't.
That would be great to see that, because it's really kind of I think amazing how you, and Charlie, your former rep, just like waxed on about this program, Charlie Snellman, when you guys implemented it, because he said it's so great, you know, I have all these additional things I'm doing and scholarships, and this is a great opportunity. And there's just so many ways. Yeah, this 45 minutes can be used in different ways that benefits the entire student body. So I just think, and that plus it's a great transition to college where you are getting more flexibility and you're choosing how to spend that time.
Well, and when you don't go and teachers like, hey, can I make it that test? It's like you were supposed to come during this time, you know, so you get that reminder, because eventually you're gonna need to do that. So it's.
Josh, that's.
Yeah, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say kudos to Capitol High admin with their MTSS group about teaching teachers possible ways where their classroom management and their instruction will improve learning. So their approach was really educator-based, tell them possibilities of things they can do, give them options within, they're calling it policy, but teachers have options on how they manage their classroom in different ways that work. And so then they bought into correct practice rather than being, you know, told what to do authoritatively. So now they've adopted classroom management that fits their culture in a positive way. So kudos to the team for working with your teachers on a grassroots initiative that informs like classroom management practices. That's important. I mean, if people don't adopt like those practices or internalize them, it's just another rule that somebody else told you to do something on that has no effect, that nobody understands why you're doing it. So when teachers can explain to kids why we're doing this and believe in it, it's way more impactful. So kudos to you guys for doing it that way. I appreciate the approach.
Me too. I love that it was like so. It was such an organic success. You didn't even lead your talk with it.
No.
They
didn't.
finished with it.
I think that's, I just say, yeah, it's really important that teachers have agency still in how they run their classroom. So if teacher A wants to do it one way, teacher B wants to do it another way, they're supported in managing that from the administrative perspective. So that's really important. And then, yeah, they're focused on the learning piece. So if everybody's learning in there, then the worries are less. So
And they created it, you
Yeah.
know, they create it, share it, and everyone works together.
There's an ownership.
Yes.
They own it.
Would you say that it has helped teachers feel empowered to do so, knowing that other teachers do? Like, you know, because I would imagine probably prior to this being a well-known process, that some teachers, you know, maybe were just not doing it for other reasons, right? And so now if this is an expectation across the facility, it might be easier for the teachers then to ask the students to make that request. And the teachers maybe not blame, be upset, or have other, perceptions of whatever with the teachers, because it's something that is just across the board an expectation.
Right, and something too with us implementing that really in October isn't your best time. You usually want to start your year off with things like that. But with all the teachers being involved on that, sharing it, everyone in agreement, and just teachers sharing with other teachers their successes, isn't that what we want? We want them to share in their classroom, this is how this worked, this strategy, and they did it with their cell phones. And when teachers sharing what they already do and do well, then other people were able to do that and go, oh my gosh, I could, it's so successful and it's so simple. Why didn't I think of this? So.
Well done.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you to Mrs. Kidder, not only for her work with teachers within this MTSS group, but yeah, hindsight's 2020. Maybe I should have recalled. I would have renamed the brochure "Cell Phones at Capitol." So, anyways, I know time is of the essence, but I do want to cover just a few more other areas. As you can see right over here, just a listing of honors, AP dual credit classes. And I do want you to know we are starting to look outside maybe the Helena area for dual credit. For example, sometimes Helena College maybe isn't offering some of the classes, for example, on this list, Word, Excel. So we reached out to Highlands and Butte, and we're now working with them for those dual credit classes. Just to once again provide as many opportunities for our students as possible. Because just because maybe they're local to your program, maybe isn't offering that, doesn't mean we can't look. Especially within, I know Mr. Kane within our carpentry classes now looking at Missoula College for some of those dual credits, pathways, apprenticeship, internships. Just once again, just so many different variety of options within CTE. So really just once again, looking outside maybe Helena College just for some of those opportunities. We were recently named as being named to the AP School Honor Roll. I can't help but bring to your attention that chart right there. As you can see, the number of exams, that's last year, 2025 in the spring, we administered 649 exams. Now, definitely the world has changed, the number of students taking AP dual credit, not just unique to here, but 13 years ago when I took over as principal, I think we had like 180 tests. But like I said, times have changed, opportunities have changed, but even the role of our counselor in overseeing all of this test administration, it's a big job for that counselor. So, but not only the number of tests, but as you can see down below, even though we have more students taking more AP exams, the percentage of those students receiving at least a 3, that's increasing. I mean, that's crazy. It's incredible. 2021, 443 exams. The percentage of students earning a 3 or above is 64.5%. Fast forward to last spring. 649 exams, 75% of students on an exam are receiving at least a 3. And I think the number of students that are signed up to take the AP exams this upcoming spring, so 2026, I think it's almost 700. So wow. The number just keeps going up. So anyways, we got that designation. Real quick, if you can just go to that back side, just demographics, just to let you know, as you can see, we have a very large freshman class, 371. And just to let you know, I started working on the 8th grade tour, communicating with Sierra Anderson today. We'll have, it looks like next year's freshmen are about 303. So definitely a lot lower than the 371 that we're seeing this year in that freshman class. So as you can see, 312 seniors. So should be relatively close numbers next year is what we have right now. So anyways, just wanted to bring that to your attention. We also have graduation rates. This year, we've really tried to increase our social media presence, Facebook, Instagram. And so I think we have more and more parents hopefully following that. Just being able to just share a lot of the positives, a lot of our club activities, just different events, just to highlight student success. So I think that's always kind of been an area that I wanted to see. And then finally, I know I promised this earlier, but just to go back to Cognia, I won't spend a lot of time on this, but our external review our lead, does a lot of these around the country. And she said of the recent 15 external reviews that she's led, only 2 of those 15 actually had something stand out to where they call it a strength. So it's not just a normal where, oh yeah, you're doing good here, doing good here. No, we actually did have a strength. And that really centers around that work of the MTSS team, having that capital code, and then our instructional framework, which I just want to show here. You know, as I said, about 4 years ago, we kind of changed going from department coordinators to that SLT, school leadership team. With that, we created our instructional framework. It is called Bruins. I think Helen High, I think theirs is Bagel, same thing, okay? We're really just trying to have that standard approach across all instructional areas, curricular areas, starting off B, that begin strong, S, strengthening key takeaways. So really what that means is having that instructional goal, your learning target posted, not only maybe posted, but hopefully brought up in that day's instruction in that class. That S is just trying to end it strong. You know, how are you going back over that learning target that you had at the very beginning of the lesson, and how are you ending it? Is it an exit ticket? You know, how are you going to carry on the learning from today to tomorrow? And then in between, it's really the engagement. And that's what that focus has been this year. So going back to, you know, as far as what kind of reading is taking place, complex text, what kind of writing is taking place. So really we're focusing now on this middle. Because when we first started, we focused on what was happening at the beginning, what was happening at the end. Now we're kind of in that middle piece. So not all is, I guess, rainbows and when it comes to the cognitive report, because like I said, that was in those areas were our strengths, but then we have areas to work on. And really going back to this instructional framework, just making sure that within PLC time, we're always going back to those standards, revising that scope, sequence, pacing. That was an area we have to improve in. Another one was just more making sure that learning targets are aligned and really more focus on individual learners within a classroom. Because when our external team came in, they did a lot of their own instructional rounds. And what they found was just kind of that, you know, a lot of that tier 1 instruction, but it was just that instruction to all. So I think they were hoping to see more differentiated, you know, maybe more ability groupings going on in some classrooms within that same class. So they just said, you know, trying to get more of that individual focused learning. And then finally, going back to IT, analyze and monitor individual student performance data for that intervention time. So what they said is, you know, moving beyond having that intervention time of, you know, assigning students based on grades, but maybe trying to utilize more data. So that might be like that map growth data we did fall to winter, you know, and I've been really trying to work with staff to say, hey, let's take a look at that. But now it's getting to that next step. And now it's more maybe assigning students based on their gap, their needs of skills. You know, and whether that's based on those common assessments that our PLC teams share in common, maybe that's that map growth data. Whatever that data is, it's trying to be more strategic and assigning students more during this intervention time. So those were the areas of improvement that our cognitive review team would like to see. But like I said, they did find some areas of commendation, which doesn't happen all the time. So at this point, I'll open it up to any other questions.
I just have a random question. So I see that the focus is on the ACT and pre-ACT. Do you
Yep.
guys offer the SAT in Helena, or do we
We do not.
even offer it at all? Because I
So really-
really used to.
Yeah, I think at once it was kind of that option, you know, depending on if you're going to college here or staying, but now it's that statewide OPI for all juniors is that ACT assessment.
So yeah, ACT is our junior test.
Yep.
SAT is optional.
Yeah.
It's offered, it's just not like paid for, and it's
Yeah.
not from, like the state assessment, your junior year is the ACT.
Is it offered in our district? Or do you have to
ACT.
go, no, I'm talking about the SAT, or do you have to go to a test center out of town?
It's optional on the weekends.
Yeah.
We'll offer a Saturday for students to come and take it. The
Oh.
students just get those scores. They pay for it. They get those scores. We don't get any data on that.
That's good to know.
Yeah, and as far as the pre-ACT, what Caitlin and our district has done a great job is now on that same day when juniors arrive here to take the ACT, now we have our sophomores who are also then in attendance and they're being able to take the pre-ACT, which is a great practice for students for that next year as a junior when they do take the ACT. So.
Brett, are we gonna have to only have juniors and sophomores again when we take the ACT due to the limitations of our network and tech? It's not gonna again be a half day.
Yeah, because once again, testing it's on a district device, just to make sure for security reasons. And then, of course, we have students spread out not only for the ACT, but then, certainly a number of students with accommodations.
Yeah.
Some of them, not only are taking it that one day, but then they have to take it multiple days for a test being read aloud. And that would be for both the ACT and the pre-ACT.
Maybe one day when we get our second gyms, we can do it.
Right.
I mean,
And that's right.
We don't have facilities
Yeah.
or spaces to do it well and maintain regular instruction.
We don't have the technology infrastructure to keep the Chromebooks plugged in.
Yep.
So they stay charged for the 4.5 hours of the test. So they can't hold a charge for that long on their own and they have to be plugged in. We end up daisy chaining together
Electrical cords.
power cords to go to 1 to 2 outlets that are in a room. So we don't have the technology infrastructure. So that limits us to about 10 to 12 students per classroom, which ends up taking up the majority of our
Yes.
classrooms.
Well, and I would just add to that it isn't really, Caitlin is correct that it really is a power infrastructure problem. Our
Right.
network is able to handle the volume of students who are going to be taking the test, and we have enough devices for them to be able to take the test. But we strictly don't have enough power in the building or the availability to get that power that we needed to manage that. If we had, Josh is also correct, if we had additional space, large space like that, we're consolidated in one spot, and we have more power, we could do that.
And at this time, we are not looking at rewiring every classroom.
Right, and the library media centers now in the new version in a lot of those states are testing centers. Or can flex into those kinds of things.
Or we can set
Still,
the Ox gym with
To
multiple
do
plugins.
300 kids at once is hard, but if you have a place to do some here,
And
some there.
And they
it
still
might
could
be
be
good.
spaced 4 feet apart and 3
Yeah.
feet apart, right? So that,
Yeah,
you have to take that into consideration too.
Yeah, it's just so interesting how, these assessments have just changed as far as, now being online, having to be on our server. Because it really worked well. We had the fairgrounds right there, a lot of parking, all of our students, and it took it so seriously. It was a big deal. Hey, we're at the fairgrounds today, and everybody was there. But of course, now that it's just, the rules have changed with the test. So, and how it's administered. So.
Yeah, I think it's really great how you're focusing on writing and applying that in multiple subject areas. I'm curious if you've seen different gaps over the years due to COVID. I know that my 5th graders that I was teaching during COVID are in high school now, and writing was probably the hardest thing to teach remotely. And I assume that every year you have a slightly different gap depending on where those kids were at. Have you seen?
And I would say yes. And I would say, when you look at that back chart, I mean, just honestly, our ranking in some of these areas, it's lower than our state ranking amongst Illinois high schools. It has gone down recently, compared to some of our counterparts. So, and that's definitely very frustrating. And I know it's, every year with the ACT, of course, it's a glimpse of one year. It's one cohort. However, even for the past few years, it just seems like our scores have been slipping a little. And so that's where we're really trying to increase the importance and focus on those areas of reading and writing. So.
To that point though, Brett, and I truly applaud and support your efforts to increase test scores, but it is worth pointing out that the national average ACT composite score is 19.1. So, I mean, our below benchmark is better than the national average, and the Montana University system requires, what is it, a 22 in math and an 18 for ELA, like, you're at or above. When I look at the data, like we're always pushing and always growing, and that's healthy and good, and I totally support it, but it's not like we're starting at the bottom. Like benchmarking in educational data is just it's kind of a head game, because those benchmarks are like, they are in excess of what the Montana University system says you even need. And if if you look at what that means, it's like you've got a 75% chance of getting a C in your very first college class. That's what that benchmark should be when it's set by the ACT organization. Like, we don't, I mean, I love it. And let's run hard and let's push and do all these cool things. And you're obviously doing it, but it's like trying so hard, or at the very least feeling bad because you didn't achieve something that is in excess of what our university system thinks you even need to get in and be successful, is like, in the private sector, I don't set benchmarks like that.
This McKee, we want to be number one.
Was that?
We want to be number
Oh,
one.
I want to be number one. Believe you me, this is a grudge match against the other district. This is not about the actual data. I just want to beat the other
We're
district.
super competitive over
That's
here.
right.
Is there a gap? Because it is interesting, hear you say like the ACT is slipping, and yet at the same time, you're having more students take the AP exams, and you're 3 out of 4 are getting a 3. And that, the knowledge required for that test is just a lot more knowledge and way more critical thinking and way more writing and explaining. So is there a bigger gap now, do you think, after?
Right.
Yeah, right. It's
Well, yeah, well, that's the thing.
300
I
versus.
think that you just said it on the head. It's like the dual enrollment classes, you're earning college credit. The Montana University system says that you need to get a 22 and an 18 to be, that's what they want from you to earn college credit. Our benchmarks set by the state are above that. So it's like, even though you're meeting that college rigor, the state is setting a benchmark ahead of that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, it's a great stretching goal, but it's not a cause for shame and disappointment, other than you make a good point. Right? We just want to beat everyone else and be number one. And that's where I'm at.
Well, I think it also signals that we are, putting pieces in place for all kids. Like, all kids are being successful. When you are number one, it doesn't mean that you're number one. It means that a lot of kids are being successful, which sets them up for life. And so that's the real goal for all of us, is to make sure every kid has that opportunity, not 75% of them for 80%. We'll always push, we know what reality looks like, but we always will not settle for being average.
Mhm.
Yeah. Bye-bye. It's like winning half your basketball games. Right?
Well, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time. I think, once again, we're very fortunate to have a very hardworking staff, great students, great initiatives in place. And, I think it's an exciting time and really looking forward to, the new changes to the building and, so I think a lot of positives, so.
There's my segue. New changes to the building. We, on behalf of the board, myself, superintendent, our admin team, your faculty, the community of Helen at large, the Bruin Nation, thank you for your time. 13 years here?
Yeah.
5 years at Helen High?
6.
6 years?
Yeah, so 19th year as
Yeah.
as an administrator in this district,
And then, your teaching time?
about 7 years, so 26 total.
Yeah, so we recognize that, it's a loss. We're happy for you. It's an exciting time for you and your family. Nerve wracking. I understand.
Yeah.
But I think on behalf of all of us, we want to thank you personally for the energy, the efforts, the leadership you put into Capitol.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
Right. So the action items are going to be tough after all, but here we are.
Boring stuff now.
New business consent action items. These, is there a motion for the consent action? I think this requires. We'll discuss there's no presentation.
No, you want to.
Okay, I move that we approve the consent action item that is presented to.
Is there a second?
I will say.
All right, we've got a motion, we've got a second. Is there any, public comment on the consent action? There's none. Thank you. Is there any board comment? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 7 is it. Man, we got so fast, we lost the stage. Luckily, we still have a forum. Okay, items for action. Number one, consideration of the approval of the Smith partial roof replacement. That looks like you, Mr. Barrett.
Good evening, Todd Barrow, Facilities Director. I'm pleased to present to you today 2 roofing projects for the summer. I'll make this quick. So there's 2 of these things, and I'll just do the first one, and then you guys can vote, and then we can do the second. So I'm requesting the Board of Trustees award that Smith Elementary partial roof replacement to Summit Roofing. It's gonna replace 11,500 square feet of roof in one section. There's a little diagram right there, roof section A. It's the last one to be replaced. We replaced the other sections over the last 5 years or so. We received bids from 6 qualified contractors on 17 December. Summit was the lowest at 192,000, which is almost $60,000 less than the next lowest bidder. They've done a ton of work with us over the years. They're kind of the team that does almost all of our roof projects. They do a good job for us. The price is right. And we have not had any problems really. And if we do have problems, they come back and fix it that way. So I'm asking you guys to approve this one. There's 2 little attachments on here. There's a picture that shows what roof section, and then the bid tabulation worksheet shows how much the other contractors came with their bids. So Summit's pretty good bargain for this one. And this project, since the HVAC project is so darn delayed, we're gonna have to deconflict the installation of the new rooftop unit on this section of roof. But they'll have to wait. We'll put the roof on, they'll put the new rooftop unit on top of that, and then it'll be good for 20 years. And so it's actually a happy accident that happened that way. So I promise I didn't plan it that way. So that's the first one. Do you want me to just, I don't want to work this. Do you want to vote on this one and go to the next one, or just I can do my spiel?
I mean,
Do you
we'll
recall?
vote on them separate.
Okay, yeah.
Sure.
Go.
Trustee Cletus, were you here for the consent vote?
She wasn't.
So it would be that.
Oh, yeah, it was 6. Yeah.
6, or I'm sorry, I just wanted clarification. Okay,
That's fun.
thank you.
Thank you. It felt fine.
20 years. 20, is it 15 going, 30? Do you remember how quick that memory?
I'm sorry.
How sake is that memory? Is it 15 or 30? Bill, do you
I
remember?
have no
I don't,
idea.
okay, never mind. It's okay.
We'll take them separate and we'll do this Smith by itself. Are there any questions, Mr. Barrel, about? Yes, okay, is there a question for infraction number 1?
Chair, I will move that we approve the consideration of the approval of the Smith partial roof replacement.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Awesome. You've got a motion and you've got a second. Is there any board comment on it, or is there any public comment on the motion?
No.
Thank you. Is there any board comment? All right. All those in favor signify by voting aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, next one.
6 is it? Thank you.
I request the Board of Trustees award the Warren Elementary partial roof replacement to Summit Roofing. It's for 10,560 square feet in one roof section. Again, we received 6 bids. Summit Roofing was the lowest at $100,040, which is about $30,000 lower than the next lowest bid. Again, they're gonna do this during the summer. No issues at the school. It's pretty straightforward roof replacement on this one. And, yeah, I don't see any issues with this one. It's very, basic. Again, you see, they're by far the lowest, which we like to see. Okay, any questions about Warren?
I just had a question. It's interesting because you look at Summit and they're 100,000 and then Wagner is almost 300.
I know.
Why such a?
Sometimes I think contractors just throw a number out there to see if it'll stick. Because we've never received a bid from those guys. And that's an outrageous cost, so thank goodness for Summit. coming in at a reasonable cost, you know, like $20 a square foot, 25 bucks a square foot is kind of what we've seen over the years on a roof membrane. So, yeah, I don't know why they do it, but good luck to those guys.
Any other questions, Mr. Gardner? Okay, I'd entertain a motion for item fraction number 2.
I will move that we approve the Warren partial roof replacement
That's
pay.
I think that's good.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. We've got a motion and a second. Is there any public comment on the motion?
There's none.
Awesome, thank you. Is there any board comment on the motion? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
All right, those opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you very much. Board and superintendent comments, any comments from you guys?
Hey, I have a discussion for Mr. Farrell, if that's okay.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I'll have it.
I got 8 flips, I can't hear.
Oh, no, sorry. What is the update on the Jefferson roof that was damaged during the windstorm?
We'll have some folks working on that this summer as well. So pretty minimal damage, really. There was no structural damage and it's mostly aesthetic. So we'll get those guys on this summer.
Thank you.
Probably these guys too. So,
Awesome.
yep.
Any other board comments? Right? I guess we're adjourned. Meeting's over.